Good morning, Kinaway members, and welcome back to another episode of Kinaway TV. I'd like to start the morning off by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land on which we're all meeting and pay respects to elders past, present and emerging. Before I introduce today's guest, I'd like to remind today's viewers of the support services currently available to access through Kinaway. The first being the business tax support package. This support package helps provide access to a range of bookkeeping and accounting services, preparation and submission of tax returns and BAS statements, online access to Xero and MyOb, tax and payroll obligations, and superannuation and work cover obligations to staff. If you feel this may be of use, please jump onto the Kinaway website and fill out an expression of interest. Another specialist support service which has been recently announced and will be delivered soon is support for our member businesses around digital capability, whether it be website development, e-commerce capabilities, social media and marketing, and many other components surrounding a business and its digital presence. So please keep an eye out for this as well. Additional to the above packages currently on offer through Kinaway, we are proud to share, and in collaboration with today's guest, Mervyn Fernando from Claystone Marketing, free access to Claystone's social media and marketing course. The course provides an overview of social media marketing strategies and tools, which helps highlight marketing opportunities for Indigenous businesses. It's a great resource and is really helpful to businesses really looking to solidify their online presence. Another support service I'd like to mention is the confidential phone crisis line for Victorian Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people, launched by the Victorian Aboriginal Health Service. The service is for Indigenous people and families who feel they may need to have a yarn with someone about their well-being. The 1-800 helpline is a statewide social and emotional wellbeing service, and its number is 1-800 95 9563 and operates 7 days a week from 12 p.m. to 10 p.m. You'll find their contact information on the screen throughout today's webinar. And of course, the team here at Kinaway are working hard to be present for our members, so keep an eye out as we look to host more webinars revolving around mental health and wellbeing and business and personal development. There's plenty of webinars on these topics already available on our Facebook and YouTube channels, so please feel free to jump on at any stage and make yourself familiar with the content. Along with the webinars and support packages mentioned, Kinaway is still offering the usual forms of business support for our members. So if you feel you may need any assistance or support of any kind, please feel free to get into contact with the team here at Kinaway. For this morning's webinar, we're excited to welcome back Mervyn Fernando of Claystone Marketing. Mervyn is the founding director of both Claystone Marketing and Indigenous Medical Supplies. Claystone Marketing is an Indigenous marketing agency that creates social and economic value through continuous support in empowering and growing the Indigenous business sector. In addition to targeting the Indigenous business sector, other clients who have valued Claystone Marketing services include local councils, TAFEs, universities, and medium to large sized organisations. For those of you who missed Mervyn's presentation last Friday, he covered the broad social media marketing aspects of business. He gave participants a solid understanding of how you can facilitate your marketing strategy online as an Indigenous business, also a good understanding of social media marketing and the channels available to your business, a sound understanding of both email marketing using MailChimp and some sound understanding around Google Analytics, what it does and how to apply it, along with providing participants with a good understanding of the 4 Ps crucial to a good marketing plan and strategy. So if this feels like something that you might be interested in, please jump onto the Kinaway Facebook or YouTube channels as this webinar is still available to view. For today's webinar, Merv is presenting on the benefits of Facebook marketing and best practice for increasing engagement on the Facebook platform, covering topics such as organic versus paid ads, Facebook algorithm and how it works, best practice for posting on Facebook, and how to place ads via Facebook Ads Manager. So without taking up too much more of your time, I'd like to welcome Merv to present today's webinar. If you have any questions, please feel free to post them as Merv will be addressing them after. And as always, please leave a like, comment, subscribe, turn on the notifications, and enjoy today's webinar.
Good morning, brother, and good morning, everyone. I'd like to acknowledge traditional owners across all the lands that we're on today and pay my respects to the elders past and present. So as you mentioned, brother, I delivered a workshop last week. We covered the complete social media marketing course content from my website, and we covered various topics from Facebook to Instagram to LinkedIn, marketing, the 4 Ps of marketing, Google Analytics and email marketing. Now this week we're sort of going more into Facebook marketing specifically and taking a look at organic, as you mentioned, versus paid, how to set up a Facebook ad using Facebook Ad Manager, and then going into showing you some examples of some of the posts and strategies that I've used for some of the clients that I've worked with, in particular some of the Victorian Indigenous businesses that I've worked with over the last few years. Now, I'd love to go into introducing myself again, but what I will do is encourage you to go and have a look at last week's webinar with on the Kinaway TV channel, because that gives you a more extensive introduction into who I am, but also I think it's a good basis of content to cover before you watch this video. So I will encourage you to go and have a look at the complete social media marketing content from last week, and then maybe follow up if you have time to go into this content. But if you're here today, that's great. We'll go straight into it. Basically, Facebook for small businesses. So really, what is Facebook? So you've got to really look at what the platform is used for. So basically, if you look at it like this, it's a social networking platform. So it's used for, community to connect, family members to connect, friends and family to connect. So it's really a social networking platform, hence the reason why we call it social media. And that was the way it was originally set up, was to be a social networking platform. And then obviously things changed for Facebook, and they looked at other ways where they can generate income through business advertising. And so then it became an opportunity for businesses to set up their own business pages and then be able to target this large pool or large group of people that they can target on the platform. But, I guess the challenge of doing that is, how do you reach people on a platform where it was initially set up as a social networking platform? Because, we can sit in our homes and we can watch a TV, we can sit down and watch TV with our family, and then a TV advertisement pops up at a local level, but a lot of the content that pops up on TV may not be relevant to your household. So it's with Facebook advertising or the Facebook platform, users want to use the platform as a social networking platform. They do not want to be bombarded with ads or billboards on things that are not relevant to them. So how can you as a business owner use the platform to create content that fits within the realm of social networking but connects with those audience or people or groups of people that are there to connect socially? And so a lot of what I do, I guess, is encourage some of the businesses that I work with is to use it based on a social networking platform. So how can you connect with your audience at a level that's authentic, at a level that you can create relationships with? Because as you know, with business, it's all about relationships. It's all about connecting with individuals and groups of individuals so that you're able to build up a good relationship, a good network of followers. And so just think of it that way. It was a social networking platform, so how can you use it to your advantage? And then obviously Facebook has more than 2 billion active users worldwide. Advertising is an advertising marketplace, and it informs and connects people with information. It's used as a news sharing platform. Personal users versus the business page. Personal users, I mentioned, you're there to connect with family, connect with community, use it as a shopping tool, news sharing and fundraising. Business page, you're trying to reach a particular audience, engage with them, you're advertising, you're selling your products and services, you're informing, and you're building relationships. What's the difference between organic post and paid ads? So organic post, you get limited reach, there's no advertising spend, no cost. With paid ads, you can reach more people. You can increase your chance of a sale by greater reach and more targeted reach. You can build more brand awareness by reaching more people, and you can gain more website leads and target more specifically. So this, you might have heard about the Facebook algorithm, and basically how does it work? So think of the Facebook algorithm as a little robot or bot that filters around within this Facebook atmosphere, and its job is to figure out what content is most relevant to a particular user on the Facebook platform. So if you've ever scrolled through your phone and you've seen content of products and services that and it pops up on your newsfeed and you go, wow, I was only just talking about that the other day, buying a new pair of sneakers or shoes. Facebook algorithm has the power and knowledge to know what specific products and services that you're interested in based on previous searches that you might have done or previous content that you might have looked at, not just on the Facebook platform, but also across websites. So Facebook does have a feature that allows you to integrate what they call a Facebook pixel into your website. And what a Facebook pixel allows you to do is it tracks users that come from Facebook to a particular website, or if you actually go to the website, it will fire up. The pixel will fire up, and then it will notify the algorithm that this particular user's gone to the website, is interested in certain products or services on a specific page, and so then you get categorized into filtered and categorized into a particular user that might be interested in particular products or services on that particular page. And so Facebook algorithm's job is to figure out, know a lot about you and figure out what's most relevant, what's most interesting for you, because you've got to think of the Facebook business model and the way it's set up. Basically, Facebook makes money from business advertising spend, from you as the business spending money on ads. So, but at the same time, they've got the challenge of ensuring that personal users are having a great experience and are spending more time on the Facebook platform and are receiving news feeds that are relevant and aligned with what they're interested in. And so that's why the Facebook algorithm exists. It's to ensure that the business page or business owner who's setting up ads can reach a particular audience and generate content that's interested in a specific user, that would be interested in specific content, and ensure that the personal user stays on the Facebook page for as long as possible so that they continue to keep generating money from advertising spend. And so Facebook algorithm is a very smart robot whose job is to know what you're interested in and ensure that you have the most relevant and user-friendly experience as possible. Posting on Facebook. So some tips for posting on Facebook. I think this is would be relevant across the board. That's LinkedIn, Twitter, and Instagram. Is to be authentic, share stories, be relevant, be bold, be informative, add value, and give your content some substance. And I'm going to go into some examples and show you ways where I've myself practiced these same principles for some of the clients that I've worked with, in particular some of those Indigenous Victorian clients. So one example is on my own page. This was I was nominated for the Entrepreneur of the Year award in the Golden Valley last year, and I did a post. And one of my tips, as I mentioned, is give your content some substance. So a lot of the times I see content that's put out there, there's a lot of fluff around the content. But if you're thinking from the user experience perspective, your customers, your audience, the people that want to consume your news feed and learn more about you, you've really got to think about, how do I get to the point of what it is that I'm trying to say? How do I put up the right content that gets the engagement that I would like? And so it's everything from the image, I guess, to the first line in your words of what you're saying, and then also the practice of using specific key hashtags and things like that helps generate greater reach and greater engagement with your content. So if you can see in the first line of this post, I pretty much went straight into it. I said affirmation is the first word that comes to mind when I look at this picture. So when someone reads that, I want them to go, oh, wow, I'm intrigued now. I want to read a little bit more. Affirmation is the first word that comes to mind when I look at this picture. Great. And then they start reading on. I have been nominated for the Shepherd and Greater Victorian Chamber of Commerce Entrepreneur of the Year Award 2019. Wow, great achievement. Let's keep having a look at the content. For this award, I'm competing against the best entrepreneurs. So it's really strategically thinking about your content, how you're breaking it down, how you're going to structure your copyright in a way that gets higher engagement and traction, and making sure that the content is aligned with the picture, the image that's there in place, because there's no good putting out copyright that's not really as aligned with the image that's been put in place. So just making sure that you've got some strategy and structure around the way you're posting. And look, I do a lot of I've done mentoring for many Indigenous businesses, in particular, many regional businesses. And so if you have any more questions around copyright, feel free to reach out. I'll take a phone call with you if you want to have a chat. So as you can see, there's been some engagement there on this post. So I would say that's one example. Here's another example of a client that we work with. This is from a couple of years ago, Bunjil Energy. You might know them down there in Victoria. Isaac, the founder of Bunjil Energy, who is now doing some great work with Kinaway behind the scenes. So here's a example of some content. So at Bunjil Energy, we believe that leadership is key to unleashing maximum success. And then you can see that I've used some emojis in there as well to bring some color into the content. But if you can see, I've practiced the same sort of principle, and that is how do you grab the audience in the first line. So at Bunjil Energy, we believe that leadership is key to unleashing maximum success. Okay, let's read some more. Leadership promotes improved employee wellbeing and successful partnerships, and then the rest of the content flows. Very relevant use of hashtags. For those who don't know, Bunjil Energy is a renewable energy company, so we've used relevant keywords like hashtag renewable energy, hashtag leadership, because the content's talking about leadership, hashtag mission driven, hashtag purpose driven, hashtag Indigenous business. And so use of hashtags relevant to the business, relevant to the strategy that we had in mind. And then we've also got a call to action in there, be inspired by our MD Isaac. Click play to watch the short video. So it's a short video that we did with Isaac, and he was talking about leadership. And we really, even in the content itself, we got Isaac to a point where he's very comfortable with unleashing the story of his leadership and what his purpose-driven mission is, at least from a personal perspective. And so, I did talk about content that is more personalized to fit within the social networking alignment of really engaging with people on Facebook at a personal level. So, and we've been able to sort of do that with Isaac. And sometimes that can be hard to do that with a business, is how do we get a business from trying to sell a product or service, the word sell, to get them to understand that to sell, we can do this in a more subtle way. We can connect with our audience at a personal level, and we can really strip our business back and show them who we are and what our mission is, what our purpose is, and engage better in relationships, because I think, I won't even say I think, I know that Facebook that's what the platform was originally used for. It was used to be a social networking platform, and so business needs to understand that that's what they need to do, is to fit within that criteria. So I think I've got another example. This is a local business in Shepparton. So I did do some work with local regional businesses. Lee Higgins Cycles, been around for years. Lee Higgins, I remember sitting with Lee and his son, who's a good friend of mine, Aaron. We were talking about what we need to focus on for Lee going forward and his business, because he was at the point where he'd just been transitioning into using Facebook as an avenue for marketing, in particular at a local regional level, and so he had no clue how to put content out, what strategy to go forward with. And so what we did emphasize in that meeting was Lee Higgin himself. So Lee Higgin, people who don't know Lee Higgin, he's ex-BMX, he's a world champion BMX a rider from the 80s. And so I pretty much just, when I found that out, and I was looking at his shop, I was looking at his trophies, and I was like, mate, this is what we need to start getting out. This is what you need to get across, who you are. You're the business. Yes, you are the business owner. You want to promote League and cycles, but man, you're the main man. You're an ex-world BMX champion. Let's start getting that across. Let's start building real rapport and good relationships with the local community, and get some of your historical content out, some of the archival photos of you back in the days. Let's focus on your knowledge of the industry. And here's an example here: tech tips. So this is a short video that Lee would do at least once a week, tech tips, and he would right in front of the camera, and then he'd give his tips on how to pump up your tires, or how to maintain your bike and things like that. And so that managed to be a bit of a successful marketing campaign for him. So best practice for increasing Facebook post reach. I covered a few of these tips. Hashtags, use of relevant hashtags, excuse me. Oh, about to sneeze. Tag others. So it's important to tag others as well. So to get the greater reach, use the relevant hashtags, because relevant hashtags are going to get you and your content in front of those who are seeking content that's relevant to you. So, hashtag solar energy, hashtag renewable energy, as I mentioned. There is that kind of hashtagging ensures that your post gets in front of those who are interested in that kind of content. So there's no use hashtagging hashtag words that are not relevant to who you are, your industry, or your customers, because you're not going to get a targeted approach. So using relevant hashtags, tagging others also. So tag other. So if there's a collaborative partnership post that's gone out, then tag those organizations, because you want to get greater reach. If there's particular people that you want to tag within the post that have a particular audience that's relevant to the audience that you want to reach, then tag those, because your post will get that greater reach and will be in front of those people that you're trying to strategically reach. Visual, as I mentioned, think about your visual, what it looks like. Make sure that the visual is relevant to the post. Copywriting, gave you an example. Hit them with the first line. Use of emojis. Make sure your content is clear, less fluff, more straight to the point. GIFs, you can use some GIFs, as GIFs work really well in replying to people as well. So, just a short GIF might be a good thing to reply to. Generally gives you that more reaction or more comments, more engagement, and keep the conversation going. So Facebook have reach. For greater reach, it's great to be replying to people within. So think of within a 15-minute window. So if you put out a post and then someone likes and comments within the first 5 to 15 minutes, then you want to be replying to those people. So Facebook have like a 15-minute window where you have to keep the conversation going, because what happens is your content will peak, and then all of a sudden it will start to decline and drop, and then that's where you start to lose that reach and lose that engagement, and then Facebook will find more news, the algorithm will find more news that will keep more relevant and more up-to-date news that will keep pushing through, and then all of a sudden that content that you put out, generally it takes about 24 to 48 hours before your content peaks and then drops. But if you really want to get that upfront engagement, then think of the first 15-minute window as your opportunity to get the conversation going, to get the greater reach, and to keep that up. Content is king when it comes to Facebook and any other platform. So videos are great for Facebook. Generally videos within, and this is just from my experience, the shorter the video, the better. I would aim for anywhere between 30 seconds to a minute and a half. But sometimes, you might have content there, content there that's 2 to 3 minutes, and it might be explaining the story of who you are. Some of those that content does work well, and you can share that kind of content. But generally on Facebook, I read somewhere where they said there was some research that was done, and it said that human beings now have the attention span of less than a goldfish when we're on these social media platforms. I can't remember what goldfish attention span was. It was like 8 seconds or something like that, but we're less than that now, and that's because of technology. And so yourself, you're on your news feed, you're scrolling through your news feed. You're only going to stop and look at content that sparks interest, and you'll stop and look at it. So with video as well, same principle, shorter the better, and as I mentioned, make sure that the video is edited in a way where you can capture what you need to capture. Pictures, make sure the pictures are relevant. Slideshows, you can share slideshows, links to other articles, links to some of your blogs or news feeds, and then stories, capture stories. Here's an example of a client that I work with. We shot this video in Sydney, and this video actually was for an Indigenous business called Moora Office Supplies. So Moora Office Supplies donated some money. Mitchell Ross donated some money to a program in Sydney in La Perouse called IndigiGrow, actually. And so IndigiGrow received some donations from Moora Office Supplies, and I was working with Moora Office Supplies at the time, and we travelled to Sydney to capture this video, and I just wanted to show you this video because this gives you a really good overview of not only some of the content, I guess, that Claystone marketing can capture, but also gives you the understanding of the kind of strategy behind some of the video capturing that we do at Claystone marketing. And I think this is really good and real relevant for Indigenous businesses, because once I finish playing the video, I'm going to explain what we did throughout the process of putting this together in terms of the strategy behind the content for Moora Office Supplies. So I'll play the video and we'll see if it can play. And if you're there, James, brother, and it doesn't, there's no audio, or if there's some technical complications, let me know, and we can maybe just pass this slide.
My name's Peter Cooley. I'm a proud Bidjigal man from the La Perouse Land Solutions Aboriginal Corporation. We run the black markets at La Perouse, and we also have IndigiGrow, which is where we are today. We grow a lot of native bush foods, and we also work with critically endangered native plants, particularly here at La Perouse. We have up to around 30 to 40 different species of bush food grown at the moment, and we probably have around 20 of the local critically endangered native plants growing as well. Partnerships is a really important part to the success of IndigiGrow, and we're really thankful to be able to partner with Moora Group to, be able to provide opportunities for our young people in community.
Hi, Mitchell Ross here, a proud Bidjigal man from La Perouse. the CEO and founder of Muru Group and Muru Office Supplies. I grew up in La Perouse and the communities surrounding La Perouse, so it's great to be back here and supporting such an initiative. I remember playing footy on the oval just behind us here, you know, when I went to La Perouse Primary School and have fond memories, but you know, we didn't have anything like this and like this nursery and really what Indigigo is trying to do to connect Aboriginal kids and even non-Aboriginal kids to the importance of bush foods and culture. So it's great to come back onto these grounds and really see what you know, Peter and the team at First Hand Aboriginal Solutions is trying to do. Last financial year, we contributed $52,000 to community programs, and predominantly that was to a childcare program in Far North Queensland. And this financial year, we're on track to contribute around $75,000. We're really proud to bring on Indigigo into that community programs initiative. We're excited about the next 12 months and how we can help their organisation grow.
So that's the video, and I'll just talk about the strategy in mind. So obviously we're raising the profile of an Indigenous business here, a really unique Indigenous business, Muru Office Supplies, by Mitchell Ross. And the strategy behind it is, and I always focus on these three strategies because I find them that they're sort of a pattern of strategies across the Indigenous business sector. And it's that, you know, Indigenous business, when working with an Indigenous business, the strategy that I keep in mind are three key areas, and that is to build the Indigenous profile, to build the social profile, and to build the capability profile of an Indigenous business online. And so with this video, what we managed to do is capture two of those areas, and that is building the Indigenous profile for Muru Office Supplies. So, you know, talking about an Indigenous business with a social mission, and then building their social profile, covering the obviously the whole reason behind the video was to showcase the support and the donations that an Indigenous business like Muru Office Supplies has done in providing that to a unique program called Indigigrow in Sydney. And so we've managed to capture the Indigenous profile and the social profile. Now, we didn't talk much about the capability profile, but I do, but it didn't really make sense to have that within this video for this type of video. But when I talk about capability profile, out of the three, for me, it's the most important one out of the three, because it's fair enough you're an Indigenous business and you have a social mission, but you need to demonstrate capability. And so most of the clients that would know who I've worked with would know that we emphasise that a lot in the social content that we're putting out, the videos that we're producing, any kind of marketing material. We focus on capability because it's not more than just being an Indigenous business. It's mostly about capability and how you can deliver those products and services. But if you want to learn more about Muru Office Supplies, visit the website muruoffice.com.au.
My name's Peter Cook.
Got another video here from Bunjil Energy, but we'll skip that one because we already covered the post with Isaac.
Hi guys.
So we'll just skip that one and we'll go into Facebook advertising. So Facebook advertising, how does it work? I talked about organic posting versus ads posting. Basically, it's a feature within Facebook called Facebook Ads Manager, where you can use an ad spend to target specific groups of people that you may be interested in with an ad that you want to place in front of them, selling or marketing your products or service. So if you've ever been through the process of setting up an ad with Facebook ads, the first area or the first section is usually, it's called the campaign area. So this is where you actually begin setting up your campaign. So you choose your objective, your campaign objective. You can either go for any one of these areas. So under awareness, you've got brand awareness or reach. Consideration, you can have traffic. So you can set up a campaign for website traffic, which is what I use a lot with some of the clients that I work with, or engagement, app installs, video views, if that's all you want to gain, lead generation, messages, under conversions, catalog sales, or store traffic. Now, for this example, I'm going to take you through, because I can only choose one campaign as an example. I'm going to take you through setting up a website traffic. And so the next phase, as you can see down the left side of the screen, that's campaign. We're going to go into ad set, and then we're going to go into setting up the actual ad. That's the content. So we'll go into ad set. So with ad set, you have a really cool feature where you can create custom audiences, but that's another feature, and that's a whole another level of workshopping to cover. But basically, I'll take you through how to set up certain ad variables if you're targeting. So you've got locations, so you can target pretty much most locations in the world. I'm sure there's probably just a few countries that don't allow Facebook. Not quite sure what countries they are, but for the most part, if you've got a product and service, you can reach, I guess, the majority of countries. For instance, if you're targeting Australia, just general Australia, then there would be a broader audience because our population is, I think there you are on the right side of the screen, potential reach if you're just targeting Australia, 16 million. But if you wanted to get a little bit more strategic and targeted, you might target various specific geographic locations within Australia. So you might choose a variable that says, I only want to target Melbourne's a specific suburb and within a particular radius. So the smallest radius you can get is 17 kilometres. And then from outside of 17 kilometres within that geographic location, you can then target pretty much as far as you can go. And then age, you can select age demographics of those who you are targeting. So if you're, for instance, selling, just say, maybe a product or a service that's targeted only towards a younger demographic between 16 to 25, then you have the options to choose that variable. What that means is that you're going to target a specific geographic location and a specific demographic in that particular area. And then you can obviously go to the next section under gender, and you can either go, I'll go all men and women, or I'll go men specific or women specific. So if you have a product that's targeted towards women specific, for instance, you might have I'll just roll off the tongue, some of the clients that I work with offering women's programs specifically to women in a specific area. So you can choose that as a ad variable. And then obviously language as well. But I just look, to be honest, I haven't had to target any ads and use other types of languages, but I'm guessing if you have a specific language demographic within a specific area, you have the option to choose that. And then you can get a little bit more detailed. So with detailed targeting, you can then start to add in interests and behaviors. And I'll give you an example. So I did a recent campaign for a college in Sydney called Tranby, and they're based in Glebe. They're the oldest Indigenous college in the world. And what we did, we ran a campaign around how to target Indigenous people from the whole outside of New South Wales, who from specific geographic regions, who would be interested in the Tranby new online Diploma of Aboriginal Applied Studies course. And to do that, we really need to think about what are these people interested in. And so we choose interested. Some of the interests that we used was interested in tertiary education, interested in Indigenous history, interested in Aboriginal education. And so that we had those variables there that we can select. And what that meant was that we can really get targeted in only placing the Tranby DAS advertising post in front of an audience that we knew that would be most likely to convert over and fill out the online application. And so we really narrowed it down in those specific geographic areas, and we were able to do that. And so successful campaign, we had over 80 leads and strong leads, and they managed to have 40 new applications for that course. And this was all in the space of just under 2 months of running that campaign. And it's back off the basis of how targeted we were with the ad. And so we did get some success there. And also good feedback that we had from Tranby was that they actually spent 50% less of their advertising spend on that campaign because we were so targeted and getting them the results that they needed. So there's an example of interests and demographics or behaviours that you can really narrow down with. And if you have a specific product or service, then you really need to think about your audiences. You have to think about your customer. What would they be interested in? What are their behavioural traits? And so that's up to you to do your homework, because as you know more about your business than most, and so you've got to think about that creatively, place those variables, and then you'll get the results. Plus, it saves you money with ad spend. So if your ad is targeted, your ad spend is going to be low because Facebook will reward you if you're placing an ad in front of an audience or particular audiences that they find the post engaging. Because remember, as I mentioned, Facebook makes money from advertising revenue. Their goal is to keep their personal users on the platform for a very long time so that they can keep generating advertising spend. But if you're one of those advertisers that's creating content that is super relevant, that is super engaging, then you're going to keep getting rewarded by Facebook algorithm and getting greater reach at a lower cost per click. And now lastly, we're still in ad set, placement. So you get the option to choose where you're placing the ad. So here you can choose if you've got your Instagram linked with your Facebook, you can choose to have it shared on your Instagram feed or stories, including Facebook articles on the right side of the Facebook platform if you're on the desktop. You can also choose to place it on mobile devices or specific devices. So if you want just desktop and not mobile, then you have the option to do that. And then budget and schedule. So then you have the ability to set up your own budget. So your daily budget could be anywhere from $5 upwards, depending on how much you want to spend per day. You can have it at a daily spend, so you won't spend no more than that. And you can run your ad for set a start and end date for a specific a long period of time if you want. So, for instance, with Tranby, we had our ad campaign running for 2 weeks at a time, and then we'd review, and then we'd have the ability to be able to customize the dates and keep stretching the ad campaign out. And that was really based on how successful the ad was performing and if we wanted to keep spending money or not. So, and because we spent at least 50% less than what we anticipated, then we were able to spare money to keep running those ads and stretching out our end date. And so we were able to monitor and manage that for them. And so, and I didn't cover this, but on the right side, as you can see, what happens, there's a dashboard here on the right page. And as you're changing your posts, as you're changing your variables, that is your audience, your placements, your budget and scheduling, your dashboard on the right side of the screen will indicate to you what would potentially be your estimated daily results based on the spend, based on the demographic, based on the geographic, and based on the interest and behavioural variables that you're integrating within the strategy, within the setup. And so that dashboard is just a good place to just have a look at, what's going to be our estimated daily results? What kind of engagement are we going to get there? 126 to 364 engagement. Do we want to spend this much money on our daily budget, or do we want to increase that? So you start to make those decisions. And then lastly, the ad placement option. So this is where you insert the content. So if it's you can use existing posts that you might have posted over prior, or you can set up a new post with new content, with new images or new videos. As I mentioned, for this example, it's the website traffic. So what will pop up is the learn more or apply now applicable button. And so that is obviously in line with the campaign that we set up. So we want to get leads over to a specific web page or website. Then that allows you to do that, allows the audience that view the content to watch the video, to read the content, and then if they are relevant, if they are a warm traffic, they will obviously what you want them to do is perform the call to action, which is click the learn more, apply now, or website link button, and then convert over eventually. And so that's the last feature of Facebook ads is placing your ad. And so this is the last slide. Obviously, any questions? I've pretty much covered everything that I needed to cover today. So for those who are viewing, if you have any questions, please throw them out there. James, are you there, brother? Do we have any questions?
Brother, I'm here. We do. We had plenty of questions coming through. The first one will pop up. Wonderful. There we go. The first one's from Jackie. And she asked, thanks for today, Merv. I have noticed that I thought they're listening to my conversations. Maybe we both listening and the algorithm.
Wow. Yeah. So what was the question? Say it again. What was the question?
I think you're just saying that, you're saying, I think it's just referring to those targeted sort of ads. So when they are sort of Googling certain things that, they'll see things pop up on the Facebook. So thinking maybe they're listening to these conversations as well as actually seeing those sorts of results.
It's crazy how targeted this Facebook advertising is. And, as a business owner, you can use this to your advantage. I mean, I gave you that example of Tranby in Sydney, and what we did for them. They were able to reach the specific individuals and groups from all across the country, and was able to get the leads and the results that they needed to get black followers to sign up for courses. And so we were able to do that via Facebook and cut their advertising spend in half. Yeah,
nice. All right, thanks, Jackie. I think we have another one from Andy. So how can we get the algorithm or bot to post our business's products? So I think that might have been posted earlier on in the webinar, because I know that you did touch on it later on, right?
Yeah. So it exists. The algorithm already exists. So if you're posting organically, if you're posting an organic post, yes, the algorithm still applies. It'll still work. It'll still figure out who's most interested in your content and who is that relevant audience and place that ad. And so if you've got a really super good organic post, then you're going to get, you're obviously, because if you're monitoring and managing your page, what content works for you. And so you will get that placement and that reach. But if you're spending advertising spend and you're being targeted, so I took you through the process of setting up a Facebook ads. If you are relevant and super targeted, your audience, the variables are there for you to select, and you choose the right variables, then you're going to get the right engagement to the right audience, and then you're going to, as I mentioned, get a lower cost per click on your ad spend budgets, which saves you money, and you're going to get a better, more specific, more targeted reach. And the Facebook algorithm will enable you to do that, because that's at the strong.
Sure. This next one's from Steve Mervyn. He says, would you recommend always using emojis, or does it depend more on the target market?
As I mentioned, use emojis that are relevant not only to your industry. So for instance, renewable energy, you might use a sun image or a similar emoji that's relevant to your industry. You might use use emoji. You might use an emoji in a specific post. So if the post is relevant for an emoji, then use it. If it's not in the context, then you don't have to use it. But it really I think for me, and I think on and look at your post.
I think we might have had some technical difficulties there. So unfortunately, Mervyn has dropped out. But I think he got through the majority of those questions. If anybody has any more, please feel free to send them through to Kinaway, and we can pass them on to Merv at Claystone, and he should be able to get back to you. So again, I'd just like to apologise for that technical difficulty. I guess that's one of the joys of having these online webinars, but we did get through the majority of it, which was great. And he's back, Mervyn. You got me, brother. Yeah, I think we might be having a few problems there. So I'd just like to thank Mervyn for joining us for today's webinar, and also for last Friday's as well. He's really provided us with some helpful strategies and sort of tips for our members. If anyone would like any assistance in what Mervyn has been presenting about, please feel free to reach out to either himself at Claystone Marketing or the team here at Kinaway, and we'll be sure to assist you with your inquiry and put you in touch with Merv. As mentioned previously, there is also access to the Claystone Marketing social media and marketing course, so please feel free to access, again, through either Claystone or the team here at Kinaway. Just want to thank Merv for joining us again, and also want to thank everyone who tuned in for this morning's webinar. I'm sure there's some really valuable content that everybody got from today's and then also last Friday's. We look forward to seeing you all on Monday. Until then, please give today's video a like, subscribe, turn on the notifications, and as always, have a good weekend. And we look forward to catching you on Monday.